All right, this is very exciting. I did not think we would get numbers back this quickly, but we have breaking news for you now. We are just hearing from the AP tonight that there have already been states called. Want to pull these up for you. We are being told that Indiana has officially been called for Trump. Right now we can see 52% of the vote went to Trump. 46% of the vote went to Harris. We're told that Kentucky has also officially been called by the AP and that Kentucky was called for Trump. 70% of the voters called for Trump. Again, these are early results, but the AP coming out and calling them, that is there. We did a Verify not too long ago explaining what the process is like and who calls the races in the states. It is the AP. Meanwhile, we've got our two little tiny states. We've got New Hampshire. We know that some ballots have been reported there. That's why that is already showing up on this map. But it is Vermont. And I'm sorry, y'all, this does not want to click for me to get us to Vermont. Okay. But Vermont has been called for Vice President Harris. So far, there are 3 different states, like I said, that even though the ballots are still coming in and it is officially 7:13 already. We know 3 states have been called. Vermont has been called for Harris. Indiana has been called for Trump, and Kentucky has been called for Trump. We are getting a lot of numbers both in Florida and Georgia back already, even though this state has not officially been called. If you look very closely, if you can see 51% of Florida going to Trump, and Harris has 47%. Let's take a look because we know we've got numbers coming from Georgia as well. And that does not want to tap for me. All right, I'm going to get this tapping smoothed out. We're going to send things over to our J.R. Berry, though, who is in Studio B with our insiders tonight. And J.R., I mean, this is incredible. It's 7:14, and we've already got 3 states called.
Yeah, and our map was there, guys, was indicating that Georgia's been called. But we want to clarify to our viewers at home, Georgia has not been called, even though our map showed it that way. So let's just get that right out front. All right, Dr. Todd Shaw with USC is one of our guests tonight, along with our insiders, Dave Wilson, our Republican strategist, Jim Felder, our Democratic strategist. Did you guys ever think we would get to this point? I mean, it feels like this presidential race has been going on a long time, Jim.
Too long, too long. However, the last part here, when Harris came in, she's only had 90 days, so to speak, to run, but started back in January with the primaries. So this has been a long year, and people are worn out and tired. So tonight we want to get this over with, one way or the other.
You think about this, and I was talking with somebody just yesterday. Donald Trump's been running for president for more than 12 years now.
Yeah.
And that is a place where you end up in this almost cocoon of living in a constant pep rally. And comes a point in time when the adrenaline starts to wear off, and I think we're kind of getting there tonight. I don't know how you feel at home right now, but I said they were choking earlier. It's about time to lay our heads back and take a nap, and that'll be tomorrow. So,
Dr. Shaw, do you think America is just ready to get this over and done with and move forward?
Yeah, I think so. I think in many ways there's going to be a vote for some degree of change, even if it's a change in the sense of going back for some folk, to a previous candidate or a previous president versus moving forward with a new one. So, yeah, they're ready to get the change moving, particularly on the economy in ways that folk want to.
Some exit polling numbers have been coming in, and several news organizations saying basically 7 out of every 10 American right now polled today at the exits angry or unhappy with the direction of the country. Jim, what's your make on that?
Well, first of all, I don't trust the polls yet, particularly when my community haven't been polled. I don't know 10 people of my color who've been polled. So I said the polls are skewed until you get a real cross-section of people polled.
which would be today.
Yeah.
Right. And we often say this on the air, JR, the only poll that really matters is the one that happens on Election Day. And as our dear friend Antoine said the other day, we've been riding on a polar coaster. Yeah. That poll's going up and down and up and down, and finally we're coming to the end. And I think it's time for us to begin to recognize this is going to either be, as Dr. Shaw said, we're going to go one direction or the other. But the thing we also have to face right now is they're going to be half of America. If these numbers continue to play themselves out, there's half of America who's not going to be happy, I will say, come Thursday, when I think the election results will finally come through. Right.
Dr. Shaw, do you think we're going to know a winner tonight? Is it going to be several days here or weeks or what?
So what I think, I can't guarantee anything. I'm not in charge of anything. But what I can say is it won't be 2020 in the sense it'll take till Saturday. But I think it will take at least a day. And some of the machinery of counting the votes, the number of mail-in ballots are going to be fewer. So it may be tomorrow or Thursday. Yeah.
I think the early voting is really going to
That's right.
what you're
Agreed.
saying.
That's right.
Because of that. Today I out at the NACP office all day today taking complaints. Didn't get the bunch of complaints that we thought we were going to get because so many people had voted early. The lines weren't as longer. So I think we're going to get some idea of what happened here maybe in another 24 hours.
Well, and think about it too, Jim. You think about the fact that when we got to Election Day, almost 70% of South Carolinians who had voted in 2020, that number had already voted. Now, we've got population that's moved into the state, and we're growing as a state. We'll probably pick up a congressional seat in the next 10 years. But when we look at that, we begin to realize it was easier to get to the polls today. More people took advantage of early voting now than they did in the gubernatorial election because we finally got it settled and finalized. And so if you did vote early, then you've had the day to basically take care of everything else. But the lines, I've talked to several people across the state, the lines were significantly shorter. It was easier to get through. And so that really helps.
1.5 plus million South Carolinians taking advantage of the early voting, Dr. Shaw. Is this something that I know there had been some people who were against the early voting, especially long periods of time, but seeing how things turned out today, do you think this is here to stay?
I think it is here to stay. The vast majority of states now have it. And so, and we demonstrated to ourselves in a pandemic, we can have a record turnout. So why not? Why not, have at least this opportunity to have as large a turnout as possible? And the other thing is that both political parties can benefit from large turnout numbers.
Well, and it changes the dynamic too. And I'm sure from a political science standpoint, it changes the dynamic of the time frame of campaigns because people who early vote are what we call in politics, they're the ones who have already made up their minds. So we're not really concerned about what is going on with them. We're totally focused on that group of undecideds that's in the middle. And we've always said it's somewhere between 15 and 18% of people who are undecided. There are people who went into the polls today and said, I don't really know who I'm voting for until I get there. But that's where I think we've started to see, JR, this rhetoric begin to build over time as you get closer and closer, because these folks over here, the decideds, were already going to show up. They already knew what they were going to do. But the undecideds, they're like clamoring for them right now.
All right, we've got plenty. Go ahead, one more.
The other things that I saw now is people beginning to pull the sample ballot off and realize who the candidates are. We've had that problem of people going to, I don't know who the people are, who are these people? But now we've been stressing, get your sample ballot, prepare it to go in. So that has helped speak.
We have got plenty to talk about tonight. We'll be doing that as the evening progresses.